Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is Monday, July 10th, 2017, and, well, let's get started again. So, what we were working on last time was, well, as we've been working on a lot, level decorations. Specifically the Weather-vane, the letters around it. So in Photoshop, let's actually probably get that loaded. Right. Come on. There we are. What? Come on. So we have the S here, and obviously the material needs to be adjusted so it actually aligns properly. And also the color pattern will change too, it just kind of shows one head randomly available. So we're going to kind of duplicate this pattern here, there, and there, although with different letters. Then we're going to work on the main part here, which should actually be the easier part. Yeah. We still need to do the cathedral and the palace. As you can tell, the cathedral and the palace are the two most daunting ones. So they're ones I'm kind of putting off to last because I don't really want to deal with them. I'm gonna have to deal with them. That's kind of the point of this project. Fountain. Kind of liking the art style at the moment, though. Really curious what it'll look like in VR. Hopefully, I'll get VR equipment soon enough. Let's open up. So we have the south one done, so we'll do the N, the north. Here we are. So we'll. There we are. So this is what it's going to look like, Sally, when it's rotated and seen. It will, you know. Come on. So it'll look right. Actually, I gotta move this monitor here. so that way I can look at, you know, over my shoulders so I can see that pattern. But it's fairly simple. Need to add some details like posters or statues is going to be in VR. Posters, not sure about. Statues and stuff like that would be interesting. I don't know if that would really matter for VR over, you know, the regular game itself. Yeah, I probably not gonna go and involve Ryan's trademarks on that. Come on. Hey, Fieldhood. Welcome to the chat. Hosting? Don't know what you're referring to. Anyway, so let's screw it up. 50 centimeters. Oh, streaming, sorry. Okay. Right. So now we need to mark mark seams. I think this one will be easier. I think that what was screwing up the last one was the edges that kind of collapsed in on them. So actually, maybe not. Maybe it was just the hole. You know, should be able to handle holes, but. Okay, now, that's not gonna matter for now. I was gonna say we need to add extra lines here, but extra edges. To turn these from n-gons into, in this case, triangles. And one quad. I could really do every second one, but you know, it really doesn't matter either way. It's not even like last time where it was going to cause me extra work, because these are just they're all coplanar. I don't need to select them. And there we are. What's the idea behind quads and triangles? What do you mean? So, if you mean why am I changing it from n-gons into quads and triangles, that's because, well, eventually it's going to have to be triangles to get in the game anyway, but the exporter can take care of that. If your geometry is good, you don't have any ambiguous quads. Or ambiguous faces. Why not just do quads? It doesn't matter either way because they're all coplanar here. So I mean, I could just delete that edge. Sorry, I could delete that edge and delete edge, and it would work the same. And delete this edge and that edge, and it would work the same. But it wouldn't have any performance difference. It wouldn't, because it would be exported anyway as triangles. And it's not going to be something I'm ever going to really touch because it's all coplanar. And all I'm trying to do right now is make light maps for this. So I don't have to worry about these edges right here. And if I was really concerned, I would actually, remove all the redundant vertices here. Anyway. Yeah. But that's an optimization for something that's like 300 triangles. And will appear in a scene 4 times, right? So here, sorry. Oops. Nope. If I wanted to, I could actually do the bottom part on a different unwrap to save some performance, but last time I didn't do that. Because I don't really care how high quality the light maps are for something that's underneath the mesh you're never going to see, right? And it's never going to get lit anyway. It's going to be pure black because it's what's between the object and the ground. The light's never going to hit it, so its light map's going to be pure black, right? What even... Oh, yeah. That was a confusing part. So long story short is, it doesn't really matter. What? No. And also, this is a demo, right? You mean SketchUp for some time, you want to import your assets to Blender and then run Unreal? Yeah, you can do that. That's no problem. I mean, I haven't used SketchUp, so I don't really know how the import process is from SketchUp to Blender. But once it's in Blender, going in Unreal Engine is very easy, especially now that everything cancels out in FBX. And there we are. That's our light map. We're going to increase the... or decrease the margins a little bit to make it a bit more efficient. And that will be our light map channel. Oh, and I probably should actually add a channel for light maps. Not that it really matters because the main channel is not going to be used anyway. No, I know what SketchUp is, and I've used it when it was first launched, but I haven't used it in the last, like, 13 years, I think, maybe. 12 years or so. Actually, when was it launched? Maybe it was later than that, but it's like 2006. 11 years. Discord for you live, what's that? You mean in Unreal Engine Discord? Because I am on that usually. Well, whenever I have Discord open. We're going to save this, and we're going to go into object mode, deselect, grab, export FBX, selected objects, check it for at 16, content, meshes, cross streams, Weather-vane S, replace that with N for this new one. Make sure, again, double selected objects is selected because I don't want to export all these again. I just want to export this one. Oh, I need to do, yeah, I messed up there. And then There we are. We need 2 material channels, which means we're going to have 2 draw calls. Okay, so everything's assigned to that one. That's good. Now we gotta go side on. Come on. Box select. Oh. Grab you. Nope. What have I been doing? Okie dokie. And now we're gonna assign to there. So now we have select this one. Select this one. Okay. Now let's redo that again. Weather-vane in. There we are. Oh, Unreal Engine streamers. Oh, okay. I didn't realize there was a Discord for that. That was just a Unreal Engine one. Yes. And good. So now we can go here. Meshes, level cross streams. And now this one is N. Yeah, I get hosted by Unreal. It's been a little while, but yeah, I do. Okay, so now I'm in here, and looks like I am facing the right direction. Okay, cool. So we're gonna add a road for this one, and what was the other one? Roof? Wood roof. I gotta adjust the offsets a little bit, but I'm also gonna change the color, so not a big deal. Now we can go and look in light map density. I can increase the resolution as well a little bit to even 128. So like factor of 4, so one more notch up. Even though it's not exactly a notch, it's just a, you know, base 2 increment. Yeah. I got a lot of people in the chat today, so hi, welcome to the chat. Just so you know, I don't refer to people by their names unless they speak in chat, because I don't know if you're lurking or not. So if you want me to, say hi to you and stuff on a, on a name basis, then you have to say something in chat first. So now we have E. So we go back to our little pixel pattern here. For anyone just joining us, we it's been a bit of a portion of yesterday. Sorry, that one caught me off guard. Okay, so we spent a good portion of yesterday's stream coming up with pixel patterns that would line up to the cardinal directions of a Weather-vane in a voxel-like format. I'm not too happy about the font that we ended up making, but it works. I'm gonna do it. So now when we have it, when we have it upright, we can then see what it would end up looking like. So we can select the appropriate faces. And I'll turn off snapping. And then we can extrude, and it will look like what we intended. Cool. And now we can then just mark our seams. Okay, now let's see. No, not working, okay. I was hoping I could get edge loop to select. Just the edge here makes save some time. Even though I figured the extrusion wouldn't actually register as a loop. Can't, you know, blame a guy for trying, right? Okay, now we can break it up into strips. Yeah, let's break it into a long strip there. Nope. Yeah, let's not break that into that mini strip. Okay. Mark. Seam. I was gonna do unwrap again. Nope, that's not what I was trying to do. It would have been better if I would have done this before I made the secondary files, but hindsight's 20/20. So if anyone's been joining us, all development on this game, up until the demo, whenever we release that, is done on stream, and has been done on stream. I don't have all the recordings of it, but I put as much as I can on YouTube. We kind of started midway through 4.11 with the recordings, because before that I wasn't able to get the Monster Cat license for YouTube, only Twitch. And I didn't think maybe I could eventually, so I should save those videos. Although, granted, at that time, when I first started doing it, saving recordings was not really very easy to do on OBS. In fact, it was actually like broken to even do anything on Windows 10 at all. Liter, nope, letter. There. So we select, deselect, select, deselect. Good. And then we unwrap and see if it makes sense, and it looks like it does. So now we just gotta change the margin to a bit smaller to get a bit more texture space. And again, this big chunk is wasting a lot of texture space for our light map. We can actually probably regain, like, you know, get like 25% more if this happens to work out fine by doing the bottom separately, but we don't do that. We just put it all together. I'm not sure why. Now, if the model was ever going to be able to be in a place where you could see the bottom of it, then yeah, you'd need to do it like this because, you know, the bottom would need to be light mapped. But since we know it's going to be light mapped all black and it can't be seen, we could have saved a bit of performance, but we didn't. Object mode, deselect, select, FBX, make sure selected objects is selected. Light map. Okay, I'll show you in a second. Okay. Where do you go? Out there. So easy to be over here. Okay, so light map is... Lighting is actually a very difficult computation for video games because it's pretty expensive and you have to do it a lot. So there's a lot of ways, especially with shadowing and all that stuff involved, and multiple bounces and all that sort of stuff. So one way we save performance is by things that don't move and lights that don't move. We can calculate what the shadows and lights would be in the editor, which takes a while. It takes like 20 minutes, which for a single frame, that would be terrible. But on, you know, on a one-shot thing in the editor, 20 minutes, whatever, get a coffee, right? And then it's done, and then we don't have to worry about that big, complicated multi-bounce calculation because it's already saved as maps. But in order for us to do that, we have to actually have a texture of the result stored. And the texture looks a little bit like this. Sorry. Well, the texture looks like this when it's done. So there's you know, some blue bounce from the ocean or the stream, same here. There's some red bounce from the tiles, which isn't exactly realistic, but kind of looks cool, so I'm leaving it there. There's some weird shadowing around the corners here for ambient occlusion. Same thing for here. Same around here, just because it's hard for light to get around. And so forth, and under here is a big shadow. All this stuff is stored ahead of time. We're not doing this calculation at runtime. We're just looking up the data from the light map. And the light map here, this is how high resolution it is. So each of these dots is a pixel. So that's how much lighting data makes up a wall, how much lighting data makes up the house. And we can adjust that by adjusting how big the texture is. You can see here sometimes it's a bit stretched and skewed depending on the thing we've done. A lot of times it's stretched and skewed because we're lazy. We just used a cube and then applied a center map to it. If we wanted to do it in Blender, we could have got a better job. And the wall outside has this much. There is no light map here because it's an emissive, unlit object. And this is the unlit skybox. So So yeah, that's what light maps are and how they are applied in the level. In order for us to get a good light map, though, we need to assign a UV channel, which is a mapping between 3D geometry and 2D textures, such that each spot on the 2D texture is unique, so it doesn't hit two parts of the geometry at the same time, because if light hits there, and a different amount of light hits another spot, and they both map to the same light map pixel, who wins, right? Hey, Comrade Headclop. Headclot. Sorry. I can't speak today. Comrade Headclot is the name of the Twitch user. Let's get back to work. Yeah. Although probably Comrade Headclop sounds like a little My Little Pony name, so I'm sure someone did somewhere. Yeah, so this is the light map we did here. So each of these pixels corresponds to one pixel on the light map. I might increase the resolution a little bit depending on the shadowing I get here. We'll see. But if it looks convincing enough with the amount of resolution we have, then who cares? It looks cool. And this is what it looks like when it's all lit. You can see the lighting of the shadow under the bridge here. All that came from the lighting only. There. Thanks to be you're building a voxel game world. Nice. Okay, so do they still use displacement maps back in the day? That's how you cheated for lack of geometry. Honestly, not really. Back in the day, they didn't use displacement maps because the computation of tessellation and stuff like that was kind of bad. If you mean bump maps, that's a shading technique, and yeah, it's been done a lot. Now it's mostly normal maps. As a matter of fact, you can see what the normal would look like. Here. So when the material messes with the normal to add some lighting detail to geometry that isn't actually there, this is what it looks like, and a good example is actually the edge, around here. Notice the converted world units, so if the, it's not in tangent space, it's in world space. The normal maps themselves would be authored in tangent space and applied to flat geometry, and then the geometry's normal would be added to it to make world normal. Well, not added, it'd be rotated, but yeah. Be mixed with it, I should say. So yeah, no, it's still used all the time for small details. And as a matter of fact, we now use displacement maps because so we're kind of going back to bump maps a little bit. But it's done in a shader such that the triangle is actually tessellated down and moved. Yeah. So it's actually I can even show it to you here. Let's see here. The pieces are actually done with a displacement material. So if you see, as I get closer and closer and closer, the poly count increases. See little polygons here, especially around here, and when I get closer, it starts tessellating on the graphics card to make more round edges. That's driven by the distance to the camera, so that way you only add detail to geometry that is close enough to the camera to see it. If I had a mesh that's this resolution, and you're viewing it from all the way over here without displacement, and it's not done procedurally, then that's a lot of polygons to have something that takes up, like, what, 20 pixels on the screen? It's probably more like, 50, but you get the idea. But if it's over here... Sorry, fighting camera speeds. To get closer, now it's going to start making more detail. Less, more. And then you can add a height map, a displacement map on top of that to actually move those real vertices around. That was added in Unreal Engine 3 near the end of its lifespan for DirectX 11. One of the first ones that would actually use it, and use it really well, was Crysis 2. Yeah. Now that has to be added in the material itself. Excuse me. By default, materials won't actually do that. You have to, in the material editor, check that box. In here, it's down here. So it's D3D 11 tessellations, PN triangles, adaptive. I don't select crack free for this one because it didn't matter. But sometimes you get some artifacts where it starts splitting and make holes where there wasn't holes. That would help with it. I don't remember the downside of it. I think it's a bit slower. But it might just be distortion. I can't remember. Right. Whereas the tile isn't set to tessellate because I don't really care. The bevel's good enough. You're not going to get this close to the tile to see the polygon edges. Although I should probably actually reduce the poly count of the tiles a little bit. Because you see how rounded it is here? That makes, I think we saw earlier it was 200 polygons. That's not a lot, but when you have, 4,000 of them, it can add up, as we found earlier. And our aesthetic ended up being more, when we designed that, we were actually using Infinity Blade assets, but our aesthetic is now more kind of sharp angles here and sharp angles here. So I think instead of having a smooth bevel, if I actually see the normal maps resolution is a bit of a problem here. Yeah. So I might want to actually decrease it from a round bevel to more of an angled bevel, which will save poly count and it'll also fit our style a bit closer. Right. Okay. But that's not something I'm going to do for the demo because I really don't care that much. I want to get this demo out so I can actually develop it well. Because again, as I said, the development for this game is all on stream until I hit the demo. And that ended up being a very big time sink for me because it's kind of hard for me to, if you have, a thought or an idea, or you're looking at a tutorial or something, and you're like, oh, I can fix that. Not gonna stream till next Sunday, right? Ends up being a bit of a problem for that. And also try being and stuff like that, which is not, not a big deal. That's the point of the stream. That's why I'm still doing it. But I've already kind of decided originally, I'm not gonna do any development off stream to have all the development done on stream, and have ideally video of all the development. But we're so close to that demo now that I'm just like, let's just keep doing it this way until the demo's out. We've done it so long, might as well just, continue doing it that way. One thing you might also be kind of interested in is how deferred shaders work these days. So one of the things that's kind of cool, let's increase the... What's the poly count on this model? On the tile itself, I can't remember. On this, it's come on. On the this here, it's only 358. On a tile, I think it's 200. Does vary a little bit. Anyway, but yeah, so how deferred rendering works these days is the rendering occurs in multiple passes. One pass goes through, and when it rasterizes, it doesn't actually shade any of the objects. It just grabs, unless it's one of the ones that's flagged for forge rendering because it's transparent or whatever. What all it does is it actually grabs all the data it needs to do the lighting later and adds it to a buffer, which means you lose anti-aliasing, but you can get it back with post-process anti-aliasing, which is not always as good, but you get the idea. And then it does a lighting pass over those buffers at the end, so that way it doesn't have to light every fragment that is found. It only have to light the fragments that make it to this screen, right? That saves a lot of lighting calculations, especially if you have a lot of overlapping objects based on your order. But how that looks is you end up having a lot of buffers in the background. I thought I saw a bug there. And then it's all lit ahead of time, or after the fact. So if we go and look at all those various buffers, whether it's metal or dielectric, is this buffer here. How rough it is, this is the PBR material, is here. World normals under the camera, which is one I showed earlier. Base color here, so this is kind of like a reddish color, and these are more of a grayish color. The translucency. Huh. Not sure why it would be like that. Anyway, scene depth is here. There's no subsurface, even though it would be there. Specular, everything is the same specular for some reason. Oh, because I didn't add a specular, right? I'm thinking of roughness. And all these buffers get combined with a lighting pass over every light in the scene that affects it to make the final rendered output here. So here, you can see the roughness take a sharp change here if we showed the roughness buffer here. So the metal is not very rough at all. I thought it was... I guess I added some roughness to it. Whereas this is zero roughness to give a kind of a shine to the plastic. And this is very rough for the ground and all sort of stuff. And all of that gets combined to a lighting material. And that's how deferred renderers work. Okay. So now it's time to, well, first off, look here. There we are. Apparently it's very close to the center here. But I was way off on this axis. There we are. Let's try to get these to align with the center of the polygons, or center of the tiles here. If I didn't have a line already, I would have to do a bit of math for it. It's just, you know, average of these four here, because I know this is in the center, because I made it in the center in Blender. Road and wood roof. Twitch just told you I went live. It was only like, you know, 45 minutes late on that. Good job, Twitch. Okay. Now we go back to object mode, save, and we do it one more time with W, which W is going to look like this guy here. So we go into open W. My leg's asleep right now. Then this goes down to 4, then over 2. There. What? Nope. Misclicks. Gotta love them, huh? I know I did something wrong here. Yeah. up. There we are. There we are. Now we disable snapping, move it up 50 centimeters. Then we I'm gonna remove my move widget one more time because I don't need it. And it gets kind of dicey whether you actually, click on the object you're intending to click on, or the movement widget, which just moves the object and causes you to have to undo or various things like that. Okay. Oh, cool. Actually got. Hey. I was able to get some of them selected using edge loops. What am I making? I'm making direction nose elements for a Weather-vane. I'll show you in a second the rest of the game that goes with it. So we're kind of trying to do the, well, I'll show you in a second. Come on. Scary part is when you click on something and something happens, but it's not the thing you thought you were selecting, so it's like, okay, so where did it select? That wasn't the case in that case, because I know it didn't disappear, but when it goes from active to, non-active. Let's show you right now. So the game is, let's actually save. And let's view it in-game, because I haven't shown that for a little while, a few episodes. So the game is kind of like chess, but not quite. And by not quite, I mean very much not quite. So let's open up the menu level. Let's hide all that. This is just a temporary UI. Let's do cross streams, sure. So there is a chessboard level. It's 8x8, but there is other levels exist too. So is the level we were just working on, and it's a 3-person map. Team 1 has human, Team 2 has Alice, Team 3 has Alice. So everything's based off of the control range of pieces of control range, which currently is just the king because I'm only using the 6 chess pieces. So I can move the king here, 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 here. I can move the queen up to the control range and to any valid location. These are not valid because they are over water. So I'm going to move my king slowly over to get in range of the knights. The AI is making its move. The AI is kind of dumb, but it does kind of work. So for long range, it is. The combat one's not too bad. It gives me a hard time, so it's good enough for a demo. So now I'm going to be close enough that I'll be in range of both knights. So now they're both in range, so I can select them and move them anywhere that's in range. So the way it works is if the start's in range and the end's in range, sorry, if the start's valid and the end's valid, then the move is valid. It can jump over something that's not valid if it's a knight or something else that doesn't move one space at a time. But the start and the end has to be valid. Actually, I'll even show you here. So let's move my king back 1. And you'll see, once the AI make moves, there we are, that I can select this guy still, but I can't select this one instead of range. So then you move into the town, past the little fountain, there's some bishops in here. So how it works is there's 3 spawns in this map. You don't have to have all of them established at once. You can use however many you want. In this case, I set all 3 spawns to be valid. The competitive one is 6 o'clock versus 3 o'clock. So I'm 6 o'clock. They're 3 o'clock. Gold versus silver, or they can choose your name, your team color later. And the goal is then to, you know, get across the level into the town, and, you know, get a good position in the town, pick up stray pieces as you come across them, or kill the other one's stray pieces. And then we have the third team, which is in the castle. It has 2 kings and a queen. And, you know, 4 knights, 6 pawns, and 2 rooks, which is not as much as you think. As we were finding in playtesting that just one of these across map teams actually can break blue even after it's been crippled. So yeah, it's you know, it's not as imbalanced as I thought, as it would seem, I should say. And also I have some waterfalls because haha, physics. Anyway, so then you have to kind of go around, build up your army. But one of the problems is, oops, nope, there we are. One of the problems is the more armor you get, the more you have to move, because you only can move 1 thing per turn, and therefore the slower you'll be. So you have that balance, and you have to bring your king with your army as well. So you have, because otherwise it wouldn't be control range, right? So you have that balance of, like, I want to have a strong army, so I have more possibilities once I'm in range, but then the other teams can just walk all over me because they just move their fast army around me, right? So you have that kind of balance that you have to decide, and you're wasting moves to do certain things. That's the strategy behind it, right? This is just one level. It's actually a very large level. It's a 64 by 64 grid. And the goal is to, you know, the competitive one, like I said, would be 6 o'clock versus 3 o'clock. Another possible one is where 6 o'clock and 3 o'clock are together, either with the same person or 2 players in the same team, and they attack the castle. I'm also hoping to have capture flag and siege at some point. Siege being where, you know, the level would be different, actually. The level doesn't match over. Each game mode has its own technically different level. And there'd be, like, walls you have to break down by, like, you know, controlling a tile next to a catapult, which would slowly open pass. The Founding Warfare are particle systems. Yes, they are. Unreal Engine. Well, it's not really particle systems, actually. Well, okay, so it's not a particle system. It is a cube mesh that has a physics actor associated with it. And I have a animation which makes it grow and, you know, respawn. And when it gets to a certain point in animation, I apply impulse to it and let it fly off in whatever direction it wants to go. I actually vary the impulse a little bit, because if I always hit the center, it's always going to go the same way, right? So I vary it so it hits sometimes the corner, sometimes the center, sometimes it's near the middle. And it makes it flip and rotate, and then after a certain amount of time, I make it warp back to the start, and then restart the animation over and over and over and over again. So it's not a particle system, it's a physics simulation of meshes directly. That's kind of hand calculated. As a matter of fact, I can show you the code for it right here. So when we restart cycle, when we retrieve the voxel, when we begin the expansion, when we release a voxel as a physics actor, and we add a impulse to it. And it keeps ticking with each frame. Driven by a couple of, values. So yeah, that was how it was done. And then you just copy that multiple times over, and it looks kind of cool. At least in my opinion. The voxel size is a variable, is what I'm trying to say. I say procedural, but it's not quite. It's a selected variable. And we duplicated a lot here with a slightly bigger voxel for each of these here. And also the particle simulation, the physics simulation stops when the pawn is too far away. Just say performance, because we can't ever see it. Why would I calculate it, right? So there's another, particle or another box physics simulation over here, which doesn't turn on until I get close to it. And you can see it actually has a bit of a gap as it's starting to get into randomization, but yeah. And that's that. So let's actually show a different map now. Some of the levels are going to be a bit on the gimmicky side, which is fine. King's Court is one of them. Let's do free-for-all versus AI. The idea is that each AI eventually, I'm hoping, will have its own little personality a little bit, kind of like Unreal Tournament did. There's no decorations in this level under here, so it's just kind of tiles floating in the middle of nowhere. But you can see here, right now, so I'll have to adjust the motion blur on this. So the idea is that every 10 full rotations of turns, one ring of the level disappears, and the level slowly gets smaller. And the actual game, I'm expecting to have little particle simulations as the platform they're on kind of breaks off into chunks and falls over. So the goal is to control a center. Because if you control a center, they can't come in and you win, right? Because eventually they'll just die. Well, that's a third move. Now if I move here, that kind of blocks both silver and blue. Now, if the AI was smart, it would not stick near the center, and it would also try to make me trade out. But it's not smart, because it doesn't know how to do with this level. The next move should cause the level to shrink, so we should start seeing some pieces die. Let's go here. Might be one move off, though. May have lost count. Okay, so red should be eliminated. There we are. So red's eliminated, blue has one piece left, silver has one piece left, green has two, everyone else has one. And now they have, more and more to go. The harsh one is here because these 4 tiles are disabled, which makes them have to go through this choke here, which means they have to trade in to get inside. I have to yield this here, so they might screw with me here. Oh, they didn't. And you can see it slowly gets smaller and smaller and smaller. You think it's a bit of a gimmick, but, I mean, gimmicks are fun once or twice, right? And I could assign any of these spawn points as I wanted to. I just had all of them assigned to individual player. I don't need to. I can have them on the same team or whatever. It doesn't matter. I think this one will be the kill one. Yeah, there we are. So now we have one of each here. You know what? Let's give up. I don't really lose against AI here unless I try, and this time I'm trying. Just so you can see the, you know, end game. So let's see how the AI does. Pink's not long for this world. Come on, let me go explode. There we are. So I'm thinking having cubes as the box underneath this, and they just break off as the tiles above them disappear. Oh, I have Japanese on for some reason. It's like Silver's gonna win unless it screws up. Gave itself up. Are we actually gonna? Okay, I was gonna say, are we actually gonna get a game where no one wins? They win! Okay. There we are. So yeah, that's the game. And then we have the chessboard level, which is not exactly like chess. The main difference is there's not going to be any special moves, like no castling, no en passant or anything like that. And pawns can move forward, back, left, or right, or eat on any diagonal. There is no forward direction, right? So you can kind of get screwed up if you go behind a pawn line and they eat backwards, right? There we are. Now we need to go back to Blender. Okay. I like to see this in VR as well. And then go there too, make a bit more room. And side on, orthographic. Don't constrain selection. Grab all view. Create 2 materials. Base, letter, and then a sign. That's grab there, then. Okay. There we are. Grab here. Export FBX. Selected objects only. Content. Meshes. Cross streams. What am I doing? That was in Unreal Under for a second. Oh, import. Actually, I should probably make sure we're lined up properly with the ground. What am I even doing here? Okay, that's where I'm going. I was confused for a second. Here we'll do road. And here we'll do wood roof. Hey, actually make a new material. Now we have time. Nope. Duplicate. Voxel, weather letter base, and here we're going to get a bit darker, which won't matter because we didn't assign it to anything, so ha 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 ha. Yeah. Letter base. Again, it's not lit yet, so it's still gonna be some difference about whether it happens like that. Okay. Okay, now we then gotta do save there, and then we're going to duplicate this. Weather layer letter, I probably should have changed the name of that, but whoops. Let's have it be very close to black. So we're doing a 0.01. We'll see if that works. Actually, might be a little bit too dark, but we'll see. Let's do a little more. 0.02. Sure, why not? There we are. And then save. And now we're going to grab all 4 of these. Weather, letter. You know what? Let's actually change the albedo of the metal part 2. 0.05. There we are. Speaking of normal maps. Okay. Save. Part of me wants to bake the lighting on it and see how it looks. Other part of me wants to just get this done. I gotta figure out how large this is. So it looks like it's well, this is 3 2/2, so that'd be 4. So it'd be 4 by 4. And this is 300 squared plus 300 squared root. So root of. So root of 300 squared times 2 is 424. So 424. We can round to 425 and then multiply by 4. Or the 3. Because there's one gap. So 3 actually. So 1275. So 1275 by 1275 is for the base. So we'll do actually, let's see. So 1275 divided by 75, 17. Okay, so we'll actually use 75 centimeter boxes, I think. Yeah, it should work. Okay. What am I trying to make? We are making a Weather-vane to kind of fit. Oh, for the art style, I never actually showed this. So we're kind of going with a 3D dot Game Heroes kind of style, but with a kind of a Link to the Past kind of bent a little bit. And all of this is in a chess style game. I showed off the gameplay of it. But basically it's using pawn, rook, bishop, knight, king, and queen. But obviously not 8x8 grid, it could be any grid for the level. So we're making the Weather-vane part. So as you walk into town, you'll see this stuff here. There's 2 cross bonds, so this is 3 o'clock, the other one was 6 o'clock. There's 2 little streams that have waterfalls at the end here, because waterfall. And on the air side, there's another waterfall. There's gonna be a castle up here. Probably just a bit of a castle here, where 2 kings and a queen. It was originally going to be 1 king and 1 queen, but I added the 2nd king in for so the player can remove a detachment and use it to go and kill the stuff around the level. So then they have to decide how many they want to move out the detachment, how many they want to plug the front door with. Unless they just want to move everything on the front door. That would work too. So we're trying to figure out whether Weather-vane to go here. And the idea is you want to move around the level to get various pieces that are scattered throughout the map to build your army up, but then your army's slower. So then you have to do that balance. Because your king has to move everything with it. It's all basically control range of the king. Actually, I'll show you again. Save. So in the menu level, I'll show the chessboard map because I haven't shown it yet. So it's the chessboard map, 1 versus AI. Move pawn 1 space up. We can then move it forward, back, left, or right, or even diagonal. Let's move it left. And so forth. You can see how it plays like that. Whereas in the cross streams level, which is the one we were just working on, you can see a bit more what I'm going for. Let's have all of them open, why not? Come on. So there's 2 knights here, but they're out of range. You can't select them because you can only select stuff that's in range of the king, which means you have to move your king with the army. Right. So you move the king over, and you're gonna start opening up more and more of the level when it's your turn. So the knights are still not gonna be in range. If I move 1 more over. This is not going to be played as normal chess, no. So now I can move this one, but I still can't move this one, it's still our range. So you can see I can select this guy here, but I can't select this one, it's still our range. Move it 1 further in, then, yeah. Like I said, there's a chessboard level, but you get the idea. And from a game design standpoint, one of the reasons why chess is so strategic and so, you know, tactical, and people get so good at it, is because it's always an 8x8 grid where every square is valid, the pieces always start in the same location, and so forth. So you get people over hundreds of years getting very good at figuring out tactics in that level. For here, each level is going to be different. So actually, one level I showed earlier slowly gets smaller as the number of turns occurs. A ring, every 10 full rotations of moves, a ring of the level disappears. And I'm going to make like having like little chunks fall off of it for decoration. But yeah, so every level will have its own feel, right? So you can't really get good at, you know, learning how to control space in one level, because when you change the level, it's all different. I'm hoping that'll make it a bit more casual, a bit more easy to pick up and play, but also still have the same kind of competitive fun of chess. So we'll see about that. And you basically, oops. And basically you can, you know, go here. So this is the 6 o'clock spawn. There's also a 3 o'clock spawn. I'm assuming most on this level, most of the competitive play will be 6 o'clock versus 3 o'clock, and the castle spawn will be disabled. But for now, for this level, I set it up, or for this round, I set it up so that way the castle has respawn as well, which is asymmetric. It has way more pieces than the other ones do. However, if it gets ganged up on, then it can, you know, the other two players have a sum of more pieces. And as I said earlier, in playtesting, it found out that even one of these guys is able to take down the castle spawn fairly easily. So we'll see about balance. So the idea is across the stream spawns crosses the bridge, and then they have the idea of either going and killing the opponent's 2 pawns and rook, or they go and get their own on the other side of the map. So this guy is gold. It can go all the way over across the map and pick up its own, you know, pawns and rooks. Or they can go into the cathedral here and pick up 2 bishops, which aren't as useful on this map because bishops can only ever hit half of the tiles, because, you know, this bishop's never going to hit any tile that's along this diagonal. Can only ever hit tiles along this diagonal or this diagonal. And as soon as someone gets the bishops, they can just immediately kill the other one, right? And then, you know, they fight to the town, either go through a castle, or, you know, fight and like, get positioned around the Weather-vane. And I get the idea for that there. Yep. I'm actually liking how the shadows kind of look underneath the tiles now. When the tiles are really close to it. And of course, as I said, again, waterfalls. So right now we're working on the Weather-vane in the center part here. My actual thought is probably not for the initial demo, but at some point I'm going to, I'm planning to at least, have the Weather-vane be driven by a vector that's associated with something, maybe on the Weather-vane actor itself. That would make the Weather-vane change rotation, like change direction, and the direction it's pointing will be the direction that a force add to the waterfall and the fountains to make the water blow in that direction. Kind of add a little more flavor to it, even though it's not actually, it doesn't have any gameplay relevance to it. Oh, I should say as well, I'm also planning at some point, again after initial demo, to add a power-up system to it. So you'd have cards, so if you grab certain tiles in the level, then you'll get a power-up, and that power-up can be used to that power-up can be used to for one ability or whatever, like whatever ability it happens to be. Potentially, like you could increase your control range around a king. Potentially, you could have a knight do a charge ability. So instead of moving an L for one turn, it'll move forward, and anything it hits, like 2 spaces away, will turn into a physics actor and like go flying, and whenever it hits, will die too, right? Or the rooks, I can also have them be like split up into a wall, so it would block off like 3 tiles or 4 tiles or whatever it is, for like 3 turns or whatever it is, so that you can kind of force people to not go through certain paths, kind of like an invulnerable kind of defensive structure. But then you can't move your rook for that time, unless you cancel it, and so forth. You get the idea behind these sorts of things. The queen, actually, the one for the queen I'm playing, it's kind of like based off of Tracer almost from Overwatch. There's originally a joke for that, but the idea is that she can move to anywhere that any king controls, even if they're on the other side of the map. So let's say you have 2 kings, one controls here, one controls here. you can play the card in the queen, have her warp over here, but then her move's over. You can't actually use her to kill anything. It has to be an empty tile, so you can't just, move it to a place where, checkmate, right, and just kill and win. You have to move it to a place, and then you lose your turn's over at that point. That'd be probably one of the power-ups for that. And you get the idea for that. So that's my plan for the power-up systems. And maybe even have some levels where, let's say there's a drawbridge that goes up and down if you control part of the, like a tile. You get the idea. There's a lot of possibility that can happen for various levels based on this this spot, right? And it's almost time to quit. We stream from around 9 to 11 each day. We were a bit late today. Started closer to 9:30, which is not uncommon. Let's be honest. Yeah, so yeah, we're gonna keep going for a little bit, but we normally shut it down around this time. So let's go and sorry, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday is what I was trying to say. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday from 9 p.m. Eastern to 11 p.m. Eastern. What did I say? Yeah, I don't do Wednesday because Peace Perspective does their stream, the place where I work. Oh, every day. Whoops. No, not every day. Whoops. Okay, so we're gonna add mesh cube. We did 75, right? Yeah. So we're gonna do 1275. We're gonna do 75 centimeters. And we're actually gonna do 75 divided by 2. Thankfully, oh, you didn't see that. I did 75 divided by 2 centimeters, which Blender, because it uses Python expressions for each of these, is able to actually break down into a value. Okay, so now in edit mode, actually, in others mode, we're going to apply the rotation scale. Edit mode, we're going to select a face up here. We're going to do inset face. We're going to do 75. Which we need to have our our scale set up correctly. Otherwise, it would the inset faces wouldn't go by world coordinates. It would be going by world coordinates divided by the mesh scale, I believe. So it would be, or multiply. Anyway, it would not be actually 75, it would be 75 multiplied by some factor. Up here, it'd be 75 again. And we'll do inset faces. Oops, no. Okay, let's try that again. So inset faces. 75 centimeters. Extrude up. 75 centimeters. Inset faces. So 75 times 2. Oh, that'd be 150 what I'm talking about. So 1275 minus 150. Right. And then minus 150 again. And divide by 2. So 487.5. There we are. Then 150 centimeters. Then inset faces. What am I doing now? That's not right. Same 5 divided by 2. Inset faces. 37.5 centimeters. And then up here is oh, I can't do that anyway. Mia runs past, got me show well on fire. What's on fire? What? All right, that one, yeah. And I mean, I'm not too concerned if a track has, you know, a curse in it, but I will avoid it if possible. Yes. Actually, I don't even need to do that. And then, yeah, okay. Actually, let's go up a little bit more. So, there we are. Okay. Trying to imagine how it would work with the elements, but okay. So here we're going to create 2 material channels. This time we're actually going to be using both material channels. So material, UV channels, and light map. I could do 2 frame wrap, but I'm not going to. And then here. Talk to me honestly. I'm here. Mark seam. Now let's go to material channel here. And we're going to select all, unwrap. We're going to add a margin of 0, actually. So we know that this is... oh, what was it again? It fell off my screen. So 17 times 75. 1275. So we know that this is 1275. So if we multiply by 17, times 2 actually, multiply by 34, each of these UV coordinates, it will line up with the 75s. So if we grab each of these and do scale, I'm gonna do 54. Oh no. Scale 34. Actually, I should do it a bit differently. Pivot, do 2D cursor, and let's move the 2D cursor to 0, 0. So scale 34. Then each of these tile locations is going to be 75, and there's no margin, so it'll align. If my math is correct, it'll align perfectly such that the edge aligns perfectly for the voxel location. Okay, now you got a light map, and we do something completely different. Then we select all, and then do unwrap again. This time we do have a margin, because we want all of them to fit in 0 to 1 and be unique. So in object mode, right. Cool. Go there. And then do an export, FBX, only selected objects. Now we import here. Right. Import all. We go to meshes, cross stream. And then rotate on the 45. And then we'll go to the top. And we'll move it so that way it's in direct center of the Weather-vane here. And it should be perfectly 75 for each. And the fact that we're seeing it like this is actually a good sign. Let's go to, now it's going to be very big pixels, so we haven't changed the resolution up it a little bit, but yeah. So let's try 128. It's probably enough. But meanwhile, if we add a 75, actually, it's not even that anyway, it's, so MX line voxels, UV based voxel, there we are. So if we make a new material instance, voxel Weather-vane base, move it into cross streams, then we change its pattern here to cool. And we have diffuse albedo. Let's go something completely saturated. So completely saturated as well. Let's do completely black actually. Then we assign this to that. We should see perfectly like so. Actually, we should probably want to change the albedo a little bit. There we are. I love it when the math works out, right? And we'll have an arrow or something kind of free rotating around here. So again, we're a bit late, but we're going to, regardless, do a light map build. After we save our level, of course. There we are. So now we are in the level. We're gonna build. Let's do full build, why not? Let's take a little while. At some point I plan, after I take it offline, to replace these tiles with clusters of tiles that, you know, make sense for the level geometry. Not sure if I'll do it procedurally or do it by hand. Probably have to do it procedurally to have the auras work. But have it be like this, so that way the number of draw calls goes down from like 9,000 to like, you know, 1,000. So that for VR, it would be more visible, because I'm hoping eventually I'll be able to have this be a VR title. So you'd be like hovering over the level, you'd be able to select your pieces, teleport to other places, and so forth. Because I think it would work really well as a board game. Oh, looks like someone just hosted me. Oh, Unreal Engine hosted me for 4 viewers, thanks. Right now we're just we're just building our lighting, but we spent today doing more decorations for our level. This is kind of a chess-style game, although obviously it's not a chessboard. This one's a 64 by 64 map with some corridors and stuff like that. Anything that's these open things here is actually going to, in-game, appear invisible. And it's basically like, you know, fighting into a medieval town. The art style I'm hoping to be kind of like a plate in a virtual space, kind of like a holodeck almost, where the plate kind of looks like 3D Game Heroes, but the virtual space kind of looks like Mirror's Edge mods and time trials. You can see that the inspiration for the you know, the bright lights where the level kind of descends down from, like a full plate, and you play on that, and then just forward. The menu level right now is UMG 2D, but I'm planning on eventually having it be all 3D objects you select on. So if you want to select a level, it would be like, you know, floating through space, where you see a miniature tile, like plate of it, a representation of it. where you see the spawn. So in this case, there's 3 spawns in this level. There's one spawn here. There's one spawn over here, and there's one spawn up here. And it's a matter of fighting. So these 2 spawns are, you know, this spawn. Because you can't really see my cursor that well, but this spawn down the bottom left here, the 6 o'clock spawn, and the 1 to 3 o'clock are perfectly diagonally symmetric, whereas this one's asymmetric. And another level I have called King's Court. Yeah, King's Court. I changed it from King's Cross to King's Court. And it was originally King's Stun. Anyway, yeah. That level actually starts 11 by 11, and every 10 turns loses a ring of tiles to force you to kind of fight towards the center. And all that can be done however I want. Like if I wanted to, I could even have only one of the sides go off, so it slowly shrinks, but in an unpredictable fashion. So like one, so you have 4 sides on a square, of course. One side could go, and now it's a 10 by 11, and oh, this side goes. Now it's a 10 by 10. Oh, this side goes again. Now it's, you know, I could do it like that too. That means you wouldn't really never know what the center is. That'd probably be a different map altogether. And you only get kings in that map, so you can only move 1 space per turn, but you can eat any space you can move, and so forth. So you kind of get the idea for that. And there's a chessboard level as well, even though it's not exactly chess movement, because pawns can eat backwards, backward diagonal, and they can move forward, back, left, or right. They can eat on any diagonal, and they can eat, move forward, back, left, or right, but they can't eat cardinal, they can't move diagonal. You get the idea. And yes, I realize it's not access aligned voxels, but doesn't need to be. Certainly makes it easier. They can eat up, down, down, left, right, A, B, start. No. I think it's up, down, down, left, right, B, A, start. But yeah, could not be good. Yeah, so that's the idea. So right now we're building our lighting. We just actually shrunk our light map resolution a few episodes ago because we're having a hard time saving. Performance wasn't a problem otherwise. I mean, the amount you can see is very little, and video cards are huge these days when it comes to memory. But, yeah. So now we have the Weather-vane almost done. We still have to do the rotating part over here, which is actually not going to be light mapped. It's going to be dynamic because it can move. Then we have to do the cathedral, and then we have to do the castle. And then the level's done, then I have to do the breakaway chunks from King's Court is what I call it. After that, I can mess with the camera a little bit, or I can just release it. I'm not sure. We'll see. I'm thinking I'll probably just release it. It's a free demo. Right. And from there, we're going to continue working on it, of course. We're not going to just leave it like that, but, yeah. and we'll see what the interest is for it. It could be that no one wants to play this game, and then I'll have to figure something else out, right? Or it could be that it's awesome and, you know, like, you know, a publisher gets involved or whatever. I don't know. We'll see. So one of the things, too, is this game I don't have a whole lot of attachment to. It's not a game that would be like a bucket list sort of things for me to have developed. It was just something I thought would be kind of cool as I was in bed before a game jam, right? So, yeah. If a publisher wants to get involved, then yeah, I'll help them make it and even sell it to them if they want, if it's a good enough price. I'm not gonna be stupid, right? Publisher like, I'll give it to you for $2 now. But it's not like something that I really have a big, deep, you know, personal attachment to the narrative or anything like that. There is no narrative. It's just a fun game. But I can't make a big narrative game off the bat, right? Okay, maybe I want to actually change the color of the letters here. So instead of having them black or something, have them be like a, or gray, have them be like a red or something. To make them stand out a bit more. Well, green or gold? Well, gold I couldn't really do because it would be metallic. Green I could do as well. Yeah. It would have to be a dielectric material. Now the roughness could vary if I want to. That's no big deal. But the art style is dielectric inside a metal frame. I kind of stuck with that. Now if you mean orange, there's a different story, like, you know. I could do orange. But I can't have it be metal with the art style. Sorry, I get itchy ears with allergies. I have so many game ideas, it's not even funny. Actually, I should probably check to make sure it actually was lined up to the ground, but it was. Okay. Sometimes the error doesn't place it directly on the object. You know, fire surrounding on all three sides. It's not all three sides. There's 4 sides. The 4th side, I'm assuming, is water. Seawater, but, you know. Thing with building lighting is that I think it's because this is getting smaller and smaller light maps. It starts going really quick at some point. So it should be picking up in speed very soon. Yeah, one of the things I'm not too good at is lighting levels. I mean, with an HDRI map it's fine, but like actually adding lights into the level. Don't really have a lot of, you know, intuition in how to make it, you know, the fewer number of lights contribute the lighting in the way I want it to, and in the way I want it to. Doing light maps and stuff like that is good, but like, and like an HDR and stuff like that, but like actually placing the lights in the level in an optimal way. Something I haven't really figured out. Not yet, at least. You all have our strengths and weaknesses, and eventually I'll learn. Haven't really needed to yet, though, because HDRI maps do really well for the types of games I make, so that ends up being sufficient. But when you get these dark little caverns here, then you have to add some key lights, and you just can't add a light in the middle of nowhere. It has to have make some sense. You have to put a geometry to make it look right. So again, I'm probably gonna have a like a Weather-vane point, like turn around at some point. And the direction it faces will be a force added to the waterfall particles. You see it's actually starting to speed up now. And again, I'm hoping it makes it a VR game if I get VR gear and when we finally get a soft line. I think it'd be really fun to like move your head around, grab a piece, move it, look around, teleport across a level, select your power-ups from a tablet or something in your hand if you look at the Red Alert demo. Or maybe have like cards. Be like, yeah, I'll grab this card. Right? Fan yourself with the cards. Right. Yeah. So it's almost done. Okay. Apply now. And hopefully we'll be able to save our level. Saved, no problem. Looks like we also have some pretty interesting shadowing going on here, even at this low resolution, which is good. And again, if anyone hasn't seen it earlier, the waterfalls, kind of proud of. Little charming voxel effects. Yep. It'll be Cathedral here at some point. We're running low on things we can do. I think Cathedral might be next. That other castle, well, the castle wall I need to do as well. Well, next is going to be the Weather-vane pointer. Then probably the castle wall. Then we have to do the castle or the Cathedral, and then the other one after that. And then the level will be done. For decoration purposes, at least. For the demo. Eventually I'm going to probably add more decorations like signs and stuff like that, but, you know. You know, kind of like potentially this sign here. Anyway, so this is the level as it stands right now. One of the 3 we're going to be launching with on the itch.io or whatever it is demo. Unless a publisher comes up to me like immediately and says, hey, we're going to, you know, we want to buy it for whatever, you know. This is all just plans. So if you're interested, publisher. Anyway, so joking, well, I kind of half joking aside. Yeah, so that's what we work on today. We're gonna see you tomorrow. We work Sunday, Monday, Tuesday on this. Started around 9:30. It's right 9 o'clock Eastern, even though it ends up being like 9:15, 9:30. And go to around 11, even though it's 11:30 right now because we ran a little late. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.